My hand trembled on the doorknob, frozen in place. Literally frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even think. My whole world, everything I thought was real, was narrowing to a single point, a single sound. Through the ceiling above me, through the hand-scraped hardwood floors of our master bedroom, his voice drifted down. My husband, Sean, the man I'd loved for 8 years, the man I trusted with everything, my heart, my life, my family's legacy. "Yeah, she just left for Hartsfield-Jackson," he said, his tone casual, almost cheerful, like he was ordering a pizza. "The stupid bitch actually believed the Paris story. Can you believe it?" Laughter. His laughter. The same laugh that used to make my stomach flutter with butterflies now made it fill with ice. Pure, jagged ice. I should have kept driving. I should have been on that plane, buckling in for the 10-hour flight to the business conference in Paris, but I'd forgotten my passport, tucked away in the desk drawer. Such a simple mistake. Such a stupid, life-ending, catastrophic mistake. No, don't worry," he continued. I could hear him pacing above me. In our bedroom. The room where we'd made love just this morning. The room where he'd kissed me goodbye. Told me he'd miss me. Told me to be safe. My God, the lie. "By the time she gets back in 3 days, it'll all be done. The papers are ready. Her mother's house will be in foreclosure by Friday. The old hag won't even know what hit her." My mother's house. The family home in Decatur. The only thing my dying father had left us. My knees buckled. I slammed my shoulder against the foyer wall, catching myself before I collapsed. My designer carry-on, the one he'd bought me for our anniversary, toppled over with a soft, sickening thud on the marble floor. My pulse was a drumbeat in my ears, so loud I almost missed his next words. Almost. And the best part? She signed everything herself, every single document. She actually thanked me for handling the family finances. He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice was laced with a venom I'd never heard, a pure, cold hatred that didn't seem human. After all these years of pretending to love that frigid, boring woman, I'm finally going to get what I deserve. What we both deserve, baby. Baby. He was talking to someone else, someone he called baby. The floor tilted. The multi-million-dollar Buckhead home I'd bought with my inheritance suddenly felt like a cheap carnival funhouse, the walls closing in. 8 years of marriage, 8 years of my life, a complete and total sham. I'd never known this man at all. But as I stood there, gasping for air, my shock, it started to change. It crystallized. It sharpened into something cold, something hard, something deadly. I picked up my fallen luggage without a sound. My hands were no longer shaking. My breath, which had been trapped in my chest, came out steady and measured. I just realized something, one critical game-changing fact. He didn't know I was here. He thought I was in the air. He thought I was on my way to Paris, which meant I had 3 days. 3 days while he thought I was gone. 3 days to find out everything. 3 days to plan. 3 days to destroy the man who was trying to destroy me. I backed out of that door silently, pulling it shut until I heard the soft click of the lock. I got back in my car. But I wasn't going to the airport anymore. I was going to war. Before we continue, I need to ask you something. If you've ever felt that gut-sinking feeling of betrayal, that ice in your veins when you realize you've been played, hit that subscribe button right now. It's free, and it tells us you're part of this family, a family that doesn't put up with this kind of BS. And if you're one of those people who just watches and never subscribes, honestly, I have to wonder, what's holding you back? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious why you'd pass on stories like this. Let me take you back. Back to before the world shattered. Back to when I was stupid enough to be happy. My name is Jane Miller, 32 years old, CEO of Miller Analytics, a data security firm my father founded 20 years ago. After he died 3 years ago, I took over and I hustled. I built it from a small regional company into a national powerhouse. We were worth $43 million. Not bad for a girl who'd graduated from Emory with a literature degree and had to learn the business from the ground up, all while grieving. I met Sean Bennett at a fundraiser at the High Museum 8 years ago. He was handsome in that classic old money way. Tall, dark hair, always perfectly styled, blue eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He looked like he'd stepped right out of a Ralph Lauren ad. He told me he worked in real estate development. Not wildly successful, he'd said, but comfortable, ambitious. He was charming. God, he was charming. He made me laugh after years of drowning in grief over my father's death. He listened, or he pretended to listen, when I talked about the pressure of running the company. He'd rub my feet after 16-hour days. He never made me feel like I was too much or not enough. We dated for 2 years before he proposed on a beach in Maui, the sunset painting everything in shades of gold and pink. I cried when I said yes. Happy tears. God, I was so naive. I was a total mark. The wedding was a storybook. 300 guests at a gorgeous vineyard up in North Georgia. My mother walked me down the aisle because my dad couldn't. Sean cried when he saw me in my dress. He'd written his own vows, promised to love me, cherish me, protect me, all our days. I believed every single word. The first few years were good, or at least I thought they were. We bought the house on West Paces Ferry Road, 5 bedrooms, 7 baths, a view of the Atlanta skyline that took your breath away. I paid for most of it. Hell, I paid for almost all of it. But Sean contributed what he could from his real estate deals. He said he wanted to pull his weight, even though I made so much more. I loved him for that, for his pride, his independence. What a joke. He was attentive to my mother, which I treasured. After Dad died, she'd struggled. Depression, anxiety, the crushing weight of losing her partner of 35 years. Sean would visit her, help her with house repairs. He started managing her bills when things got complicated. "Let me handle it," he'd say, kissing my forehead. "You have enough on your plate with the company, Jane. I'll take care of your mom." I was so grateful, so relieved to have someone, anyone, share the burden. I never questioned why he needed my mother to sign papers. "Power of attorney," he'd explained, all casual. "Just in case something happens and we need to make medical decisions for her." Smart, I thought. Responsible. I never questioned why he'd taken such an interest in the family finances. When he suggested consolidating our accounts, streamlining our investments, "Just to make life easier, honey," I'd agreed instantly. He was good with numbers, after all, and I trusted him. Trust. It's such a fragile thing, isn't it? Like a priceless vase you build your whole life around, never realizing it's already been cracked. Just waiting for the right moment, one clumsy, stupid mistake like forgetting a passport to shatter completely. The cracks had been there all along. I just hadn't looked close enough. I didn't go to the airport. Instead, I drove to a little coffee shop in Buckhead Village and parked in the back, where my car couldn't be seen from the street. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. Sean thought I was on a plane. The Paris conference was real. I'd been planning it for months. 3 days of meetings, networking, presentations. I'd talked about it for weeks. But now I had something much, much more important to do. I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers and called my assistant, Queen. She answered on the first ring. "Jane, aren't you supposed to be boarding?" "Change of plans," I said, keeping my voice steady through sheer force of will. "I need you to do something for me, and I need you to not ask a single question. Can you do that?" There was a pause. Queen had worked for me for 5 years. She was a rock star, sharp as a tack, loyal as hell, and she could read me better than almost anyone. "Of course," she said quietly. "What do you need?" "Call the conference organizers. Tell them I've had a family emergency and can't attend. Then, I need you to cover for me at the office. Tell everyone I'm still at the conference, attending as planned. If anyone asks, I'm in Paris, unreachable except by email." "Jane, Please, Queen. I'll explain everything soon. But right now, I need you to trust me." Another pause. Longer this time. "You're in Paris. Got it." "Thank you," I whispered. "I'll call you in a day or two." I hung up before she could ask more. Next call, my mother. She answered on the 4th ring, sounding tired. "Jane, sweetheart, I thought you were flying to Paris today." "I am, Mom. I'm at the airport now." The lie tasted like acid. "Listen, I need to ask you something. Those papers Sean has been helping you with, the financial stuff. Do you have copies?" "Oh, well. Sean has everything organized in a folder. He said it was safer to keep it all in one place." "Why?" My stomach dropped. "Mom, I need you to do something for me. Do you have any bank statements? Anything showing your accounts?" "I haven't checked in a while, honey. Sean said everything was fine, all handled. He's been such a help, you know. I don't know what I'd do without him." I closed my eyes, fighting back a wave of nausea. Mom, I need you to go to the bank tomorrow. First thing, ask for a complete statement of all your accounts and check on the house. Make sure the mortgage is current. Jane, what's this about? Is something wrong? I couldn't tell her. Not yet. Not until I knew everything. Just being cautious, Mom. You know how I am. Please, just do this for me. She agreed, worry in her voice, but she trusted me. After we hung up, I sat in that parking lot and made a list on my phone. Everything I needed to find out, every truth I needed to uncover. Sean's phone records, our bank accounts, all of them, my mother's financial records, Sean's real estate business. Was it even real? The woman he'd called baby. What papers had I supposedly signed? What was happening Friday to my mother's house? The conference ended Sunday night. It was Wednesday afternoon. I had 4 days before Sean expected me home. 4 days to become someone I'd never been before. A detective, a spy, a woman with nothing left to lose. I started the car and drove to the one place I knew Sean would never look for me, my best friend Michelle's cabin up on Lake Lanier. She was in Japan on vacation for 2 weeks. I had a key. It was time to start digging. The cabin was exactly what I needed, isolated, quiet, with a strong internet connection and zero chance of running into anyone. I let myself in, dropped my luggage, and set up my laptop on the kitchen table. Then I began to excavate the ruins of my life. First stop, our bank accounts. I had access to everything, or so I thought. I logged into our joint checking. The balance looked normal. Our savings, $215,000. But something nagged at me. I pulled up the transaction history and started scrolling. Regular deposits from my company salary, normal expenses, mortgage, utilities, groceries, everything looked fine. Too fine. I'd learned in business that when something looks perfect, it's usually hiding something rotten. I went back further. 6 months, a year, 2 years. There. Small transfers, $2,000 here, $1,500 there. Always to an account number I didn't recognize. The amounts were small enough, death by 1,000 cuts, that I'd never noticed. We had plenty of money, but over 2 years, those small transfers added up. I did the math 3 times, $347,000. Gone. My vision blurred. I felt the bile rise in my throat. That wasn't our money. That was my money, my sweat, my father's legacy, money I'd transferred into our joint account because we were partners. I grabbed a notebook and wrote down the account number. Then I kept digging. Our investment accounts. Sean had suggested consolidating them 2 years ago, moving everything to a new firm with better returns. I'd been busy with a major client acquisition. I'd barely glanced at the paperwork before signing. I logged into the investment portal. The main page showed our portfolio value, $1.2 million. But when I drilled down, when I looked at the actual holdings, my blood ran cold. The account was in Sean's name only. My name appeared nowhere. Despite the fact that 90% of that money had come from my inheritance and my bonuses, I checked the documents I'd signed. There, in legal language I'd been too busy and too trusting to read. I'd transferred full ownership to Sean. I was listed as a beneficiary only in the event of his death. I'd signed away over $1 million. My hands shook so badly I had to set down my coffee. How? How the hell was I this stupid? I run a multi-million-dollar data firm, and I didn't read the goddamn fine print in my own house. But I knew how, because I'd loved him, because I'd trusted him. I forced myself to keep going. My mother's accounts. This was harder. I wasn't on her accounts, but I had her social security number and enough info to get through the security questions, probably illegal. I was past caring. My mother's checking account had $12,200 in it. That was wrong. So wrong. My mother had inherited $300,000 when my father died, plus his life insurance. She should have had at least $200,000 left. I checked her savings account. 0 balance. The account had been closed 3 months ago. All funds transferred out. I pulled up the mortgage records for her house, the house I'd grown up in. It was in foreclosure. The bank had filed papers 2 weeks ago. Foreclosure auction scheduled for Friday. This Friday, 2 days away. My mother had no idea. Sean had intercepted all the notices, told her everything was fine, and she'd believed him. I ran to the bathroom and vomited until there was nothing left but bile and rage. I'm going to pause right here. If you're feeling sick to your stomach right along with me, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. Don't be a bystander. Don't be the person who just watches someone else's life fall apart and does nothing. Subscribing is your way of saying, I'm with you, Jane. And if you're not, if you're just going to sit there, I guess I have to ask. Don't you have any empathy? Go on, let me know in the comments why you wouldn't support a story of justice. I'm waiting. After I cleaned myself up, I went back to the laptop. I had a new focus. The woman. The one he'd called Baby. Sean's phone records. We were on a family plan. I was the primary account holder. I pulled up our provider's website and logged in. Bingo. I could see every call, every text. I downloaded his records for the past year. One number appeared over and over. Multiple calls a day, texts at all hours. The pattern went back 18 months, a year and a half of lies. I ran the number through a reverse lookup. It came back belonging to a Melissa Hartley, age 28. Address, a high-rise condo in Midtown, 28. 4 years younger than me. I pulled up her social media. Of course, she was a lifestyle influencer. She was beautiful, blonde, thin, with a perfect, vapid smile. Her Instagram was a shrine to my money. Designer bags, expensive restaurants, exotic vacations. I scrolled. There, a picture from 4 months ago. Champagne glasses at sunset. The caption, best view in the city with my favorite person. You couldn't see his face, but in the reflection of the window, I could just make out a man's silhouette. Dark hair, Sean. Another photo, a hand holding hers. I recognized Sean's watch, the one I bought him. My God, how many lies. How many times had he looked me in the eye and told me he loved me while he was planning this? This wasn't just an affair. This was a plan. What we both deserve, baby. They were planning this together. I grabbed my phone and called the one person I knew could help me, my college roommate, Denzel. He'd gone on to become one of the best private investigators in Atlanta. Jane, how's Paris? Denzel, I'm not in Paris. I need your help, and I need you to keep this completely confidential. Of course, what's going on? I told him everything. The phone call, the money, Melissa, the foreclosure. By the time I finished, I was crying, the words tumbling out in a rush of pain and fury. Jesus Christ, Denzel breathed. Jane, I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry. Be helpful. I need to know everything, what they're planning, how deep this goes, everything. Let me make some calls. I've got contacts. Give me until tomorrow morning. Where are you? I told him about the lake house. Stay there. Don't contact Sean. Don't let him know you know anything. Can you do that? Yes. My voice was still. The tears had stopped. I can do that. Good. I'll call you tomorrow. After we hung up, I sat in the darkness and watched the sun set over Lake Lanier. I thought about the woman I'd been this morning. Happy, naive, trusting. That woman was dead. The woman sitting here now was someone new, someone who was going to make them pay. Denzel called at 7 a.m. I'd barely slept. I've got it, he said. No preamble. And Jane, it's worse than you thought. Tell me. Sean Bennett isn't his real name. He's Sean Bradley Kane. He's got a record, fraud, embezzlement, served 3 years in a state pen up north, got out, changed his name, created a whole new identity. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. What? His real estate business doesn't exist. Never has. The office he worked at? It's a virtual office space he rented for $50 a month. Every dollar he's had for the past 8 years came from you. 8 years. Our entire relationship. A lie. From the very first, hello. What about Melissa? Melissa Hartley. She's his partner. And I mean business partner. They've run this scam before. Twice that I can confirm. Sean meets a wealthy woman, usually someone vulnerable. He romances her, marries her, gains access to her finances. Then he and Melissa systematically drain everything. By the time the woman figures it out, they're gone. The other women, what happened to them? Denzel's silence was heavy. One declared bankruptcy, lost everything. The other, Jane, she killed herself 2 years ago. I couldn't breathe. He wasn't just a thief. He was a predator, a monster, and I'd let him into my life, my home, my family. There's more, Denzel said. The papers you signed, some of them. They transferred ownership of Miller Analytics. What? I jumped to my feet. That's impossible. I would have noticed. He forged documents, made it look like a corporate restructuring for tax purposes. Your lawyers probably have the real paperwork, but Sean filed fraudulent documents with the state showing him as majority owner. If he files those with your board, he could execute a hostile takeover of your own company. My company, my father's legacy. When? I whispered. The paperwork is dated for next Monday, the day after you're supposed to get back from Paris. It all clicked. The foreclosure on Friday. Drain the last of the accounts. Then, Monday, he'd take over my company and kick me out. I'd be left with nothing. No money, no home, no company. My mother would be homeless, and Sean and Melissa would disappear with $43 million. Jane, you still there? I'm here. My voice was distant. Send me everything you found. Documents, photos, evidence, all of it. You need to go to the police, Jane. We can stop this. Thank you, Denzel. Send me everything. You're going to the police, right? I'll handle it. I hung up. The police? Yes, I could go to the police. Sean would be arrested. He'd go back to prison. I might recover some of the money, might save my company. But might wasn't good enough. And prison? Prison was too easy, too clean. He tried to destroy my life, stole from my dying mother, drove another woman to suicide. The police would give him 3 to 5 years, maybe. He'd get out and do it again. No, I wanted him destroyed. Completely. The way he'd planned to destroy me. I wanted revenge, and I was going to get it. I spent the next 12 hours planning. A perfect plan. Sean thought he was the con artist. I was about to show him what a real strategist could do. Step 1. Secure my assets. I called my corporate lawyer, George, on his cell. George, I need you to do something for me immediately. Don't ask questions. Jane, what's going on? Trust me, please. There are fraudulent corporate documents filed with the state showing a transfer of ownership of Miller Analytics. I need you to file an injunction immediately preventing any change in corporate ownership. Right now. That's highly unusual. I have reason to believe someone is attempting corporate fraud. Please, George, I'll explain when I can. A pause. I'll file within the hour. And Jane, this stays between us. Next, I called my bank. I moved all the money from our joint accounts, every last penny, into a new account in my name, only at a different bank. If Sean checked, he'd see empty accounts. Let him panic. Then, I called my mother's bank, explained she was a victim of financial fraud. I sent them some of the documents Denzel provided, showing Sean's real identity. The foreclosure auction was postponed, pending investigation. My mother's house was safe. For now. Step 2. Gather more evidence. I needed to get into our house. I needed the originals. I remembered. Sean played golf every Thursday morning at 9 a.m., like clockwork. He'd be gone for at least 4 hours. Perfect. Step 3. The revenge. This was the part I savored. Thursday morning, I watched our house from down the street. At 8:47 a.m., Sean emerged in his golf clothes, loaded his clubs into my car, and drove away. I waited 15 minutes, then let myself in. The house felt contaminated, poisoned. I went to his office. He kept it locked. Sensitive client documents, he'd said. I used the lockpick set Denzel had overnighted me. The lock clicked open. In the bottom desk drawer under a stack of golf magazines, I found a folder. It was labeled Jane Project. I was a project. Our marriage, my love, a business transaction. I opened it. Inside, printed emails between Sean and Melissa, going back 9 years, before we'd even met. They had targeted me, researched me, knew about my father's death, my vulnerability, my wealth. One email from Melissa. Jay Miller is perfect. Rich, lonely, grieving. She'll be easy. I'll set up the meeting at the High Museum fundraiser. Make sure you're charming. She's the big score, baby. Sean's response. Don't worry. I'll make her fall so hard she won't know what hit her. This time next year, we'll be on a beach spending her money. That was 8 years ago. Why had it taken so long? I kept reading. Another email from 2 years ago. It's taking too long, Sean. She's not as easy to manipulate. We need to speed this up. His reply. Patience. She's worth more than the others combined. We do this right. We never have to work again. I was worth more, so I got to suffer longer. How generous. There was more. Photos of me. Hundreds. Some I knew about. But others. Photos of me sleeping. Photos of me in the shower, taken through a crack in the door. Photos of me crying after a hard day. He'd been documenting me like a specimen. I found the timeline. Friday. Foreclose house. Saturday. Transfer remaining funds. Sunday. Jay returns. Monday. Execute corporate takeover. Tuesday. File for divorce. And at the bottom, plane tickets to the Cayman Islands for Thomas Kane and Melissa Hartley, departing next Wednesday. I photographed every single page, uploaded it all to a secure cloud. Then I found the medical records, my medical records, from my last physical. He'd highlighted one section. Patient shows markers for early-stage anxiety disorder. In the margin, in Sean's handwriting, useful if we need to paint her as unstable. They plan to gaslight me, to make me look crazy. And then, the journal. His performance journal. Entries about how he had to force himself to have sex with me, how boring I was. One entry read, "Kissed Jane goodbye this morning, told her I loved her. God, I wanted to vomit. The way she looks at me with those pathetic, trusting eyes. She's so desperate for affection. 2 more months and I never have to touch her again." That entry was from 3 weeks ago. This is evil. What you're hearing is the calculated destruction of a human being. If this makes your skin crawl, if you feel that fire of outrage building in your chest, subscribe. Don't just sit there and listen. Act. Join us. Be one of the people who stands up and says this is not okay. And if you're still not subscribing, I'm just baffled. Are you on his side? Go to the comments and tell me. I really want to know what kind of person hears this and does nothing. The Jane who'd loved Sean, she died right there on that office floor. The woman who rose was forged in betrayal and tempered in rage, and she was going to burn his entire world to ashes. I had enough to destroy him legally, but that wasn't enough. So I did something crazy. I called Melissa. "Hello?" Her voice was sweet, young. "Melissa Hartley? My name is Jennifer Ross. I'm a private wealth manager. I was given your name by Sean Kane. He said you might be interested in discussing investment opportunities for a significant sum of money coming your way soon." A pause. I could hear the gears turning. "Sean gave you my number?" "He did. He mentioned you two were close." Her voice warmed, dripping with greed. "I see. What kind of opportunities?" "I'd prefer to discuss it in person. Are you free for coffee this afternoon? Say 3 p.m. at the cafe in Virginia Highland?" Public, safe, and, critically, security cameras. "I suppose I could make that work," she said, trying to sound casual. I changed into an expensive suit, put my hair up, added glasses I didn't need. She was already there. "Jennifer?" She smiled, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "Melissa, thank you for meeting me." I sat down. "So you and Sean are partners?" She smiled, a cat-like, smug smile. "Business partners, among other things." "And this business, it involves his wife, Jane?" Greed won out over caution. It always does. "We've been doing this for years," she said, lowering her voice. "Sean finds the mark, a rich, lonely woman. He romances her, marries her, gets access. I help move the money. We take everything and disappear." She laughed. "And Jane is the best one yet. So rich, so trusting. She signed everything. We've got almost 2 million now, and by next week, we'll have her company too. 43 million, can you imagine?" I could. "And she has no idea?" "None. She's in Paris. By the time she gets back, it'll all be over. We'll be gone, and she'll be left with nothing. Not even her mother's house." She giggled. Sean must be quite the actor," I said. "Oh, he hates it. He tells me all the time how boring she is, how frigid, how desperate and pathetic. He can barely stand to touch her." She leaned in, conspiratorially. "Between you and me, sometimes we have sex while he's on the phone with her. He has to mute it so she doesn't hear me in the background. It's hilarious." Something must have shown on my face. "Are you okay? You look—" "I'm fine." I pulled out my phone. "I just need to show you something." I opened my photo gallery and showed her a picture, me and Sean, on our wedding day. Her face went white. "You see, Melissa, I'm not Jennifer Ross. I'm Jane Miller, and you just confessed everything." She stood up so fast her chair fell over. You can't." "Can't what? Record our conversation? I can. Georgia is a one-party consent state, and even if it wasn't— See those cameras?" I pointed. "They record audio, too." She grabbed her purse, but I caught her wrist. My grip was iron. "Sit down." She sank back into her chair. "Here's what's going to happen," I said, my voice low and cold. "You're going to tell me everything, every account, every document, and if you cooperate, maybe I'll let the police go easy on you. I want a lawyer." "Oh, you'll get one, in prison. But right now you're going to talk to me, because you mentioned another woman, the one who killed herself. I'll make sure that gets investigated as manslaughter. Felony murder during the commission of a fraud. That's life in prison, Melissa." It was a bluff. But she didn't know that. She broke. Completely. Crying, talking, the words spilling out. She told me everything. The offshore accounts, the shell companies, the other victims. 4 women total. When she was finished, I stood up. Thank you for your cooperation. Wait, you said you'd help me. Tell the police I cooperated. I looked down at this beautiful monster who'd laughed about destroying my life. I lied, I said, the way you and Sean lied to me. How does it feel? I walked out and didn't look back. Friday morning, I sent Sean a text from Paris. Miss you. Conference is great. Love you. He responded instantly. Miss you too, babe. Can't wait till you're home. Babe. He called Melissa. Baby and me, babe. I wanted to vomit. Instead, I called the FBI, not the local police. This was wire fraud, bank fraud, federal crimes. I told the agent everything. Sent her the evidence, the recording of Melissa. This is extensive, Ms. Miller, Special Agent Torres said. We'll need a formal statement. I will, but I need you to do something first. Wait until Monday. He's planning to execute the corporate takeover of my company. Wait. And catch him in the act. A long pause. You want him to incriminate himself further. I want him to hang himself with his own rope. Another pause. Unofficially. We'll plan our operation for Monday morning. That weekend, I found the first woman Sean had destroyed, Caroline Fletcher. She was 41. 8 years ago, she'd been a successful broker worth $3 million. Now she worked 2 jobs as a waitress and lived in a tiny apartment down in Macon. He did to me what he did to you, I told her at her door. I'm stopping him, but I need your help. I need you to testify. She cried. She was terrified. There's another woman, Caroline, I said. She didn't survive it. Help me make sure there are no more victims. She nodded, tears streaming. I'll testify. Sunday evening, I drove back to Atlanta, back to the house, back to Sean. He thought I was landing at 8 p.m. I pulled into the garage at 8:47. I had to do this. He was in the kitchen. He turned, a wide, fake smile on his face. Jane, welcome home, babe. He crossed the kitchen and pulled me into a hug, his arms around me, his lips on my hair. I had to fight every instinct in my body not to pull a knife from the kitchen block and stab him. I forced myself to hug him back. Missed you too, I said. My voice didn't even shake. How was Paris? Exhausting. Good. The lies came easy. I'd learned from an expert. I'm making your favorite. You must be starving. Actually, I said, I think I ate something bad on the plane. I'm just going to take a shower and go to bed. Oh no, such convincing concern. Can I get you anything? No, I just need to rest. In the shower, I scrubbed my skin raw, trying to get his filth off me. I climbed into bed. He came in a few minutes later, sliding in next to me, putting his arm around me. I wanted to scream. Instead, I closed my eyes and faked sleep. After an hour, I felt him slide out of bed. I heard him on the phone, his voice low. Yeah, she's asleep. No, she doesn't suspect a thing. Tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. By tomorrow afternoon, we'll own her company. I know, baby, I know. Just one more day of pretending, and then we're free. I love you too. He crept back into bed. Within minutes, he was asleep. I lay there in the darkness, his arm across my waist, and I smiled. Tomorrow, Sean was going to get exactly what he deserved. Monday morning, I showered, dressed in my best power suit, navy blue. I looked in the mirror. The woman looking back was harder, sharper, dangerous. I liked her. Sean was in the kitchen. Big day? He asked, handing me coffee. Board meeting at 10, I said. Emergency session. His expression flickered. Everything okay? We'll find out. I smiled at him. What about you? Oh, just some errands. Paperwork to file. Boring stuff. I left at 9 a.m., drove to Miller Analytics, my company. The board was assembled. Thank you for coming, I said. We have a serious situation. I just started explaining when the door burst open. Sean, face flushed, folder in hand. Jane, what's going on? Why wasn't I informed? Mr. Bennett, our chairman said, this is a closed meeting. Actually, I have every right to be here. Sean strode into the room, radiating arrogance. As the majority shareholder of this company, he slapped his folder on the table. These papers, properly filed and notarized, show that Jane transferred controlling interest of Miller Analytics to me. I am now the majority owner, which means I have the authority to do what exactly? My voice was ice. He looked at me, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. To restructure this company using fraudulent documents? I pulled out my own folder. Because these papers are forgeries, Sean. Or should I call you Sean Bradley Kane? The blood drained from his face. I don't know what you're... Don't. My voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare lie to me. Not anymore. I turned to the board. This man is Sean Bradley Kane, a convicted fraudster. He's been stealing from me for 8 years. These documents are fake. I have evidence of everything. Sean backed toward the door. It opened before he could reach it. Special Agent Torres walked in, flanked by 2 other agents. Sean Bradley Kane, you're under arrest for wire fraud, bank fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit fraud. They cuffed him. His eyes found mine. Shock, rage, and fear. Jane, please, I can explain. This is all a misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding was mine, I said, standing up. I walked over to him. I misunderstood who you were. I thought you were a man. You're just a parasite. I love you, he said, desperate. Everything I did for us. I laughed. You want to know the worst part, Sean? You're not even a good liar. I heard you last week. When I came back for my passport, I heard you on the phone, talking about how much you hated me, how frigid and boring I was, how you couldn't wait to be done pretending. His face went slack. You heard? I heard everything, and instead of falling apart like you wanted me to, I spent the last week destroying you. Your offshore accounts? Frozen. Melissa? She's being arrested right now. Oh, didn't I mention? She confessed. Everything. Told me about all your victims, about the woman who killed herself. No, he whispered. No. Caroline Fletcher is testifying, so is Melissa, so am I. You're going to prison, Sean, for a very, very long time. Agent Torres pulled him toward the door. Emma, Jane, please, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I just looked at him. You're sorry you got caught, that's all. They dragged him out. His screams echoed down the hallway. The board sat in stunned silence. Well, I said, retaking my seat at the head of the table. Shall we continue the meeting? That is what justice looks like. If you've been holding your breath this whole time, if you just let out a cheer, I need you to do one thing. Subscribe. Right now. Be part of this moment. Don't let this be just another video you watch and forget. Make it count. And if you're still on the fence, what more do you need? Seriously, go to the comments and tell me why you haven't joined us. I'm starting to think you just don't like seeing the bad guy lose. The trial took 8 months. The evidence was overwhelming. Melissa testified against him for a reduced sentence. Caroline testified, her voice strong. I testified, walking the jury through 8 years of lies. Guilty, on all counts. Sean was sentenced to 23 years in federal prison. Melissa got 12. I recovered about 60% of the money. The rest was gone. My mother's house was saved. I paid it off completely. Caroline Fletcher got a settlement, enough for a fresh start. Last I heard, she went back to school to become a therapist helping other fraud victims. The family of Jennifer Adams, the woman who'd killed herself, also received a settlement. It wouldn't bring her back, but it was justice. As for me, I threw myself into my work, grew Miller Analytics into a $100 million company, and I started a foundation to help victims of financial fraud, free legal services, counseling, resources to rebuild. I never dated again. I couldn't. I sold the house on West Paces Ferry Road. Couldn't stand the memories. I bought a penthouse in Midtown, all clean lines and new beginnings. Sometimes I wonder if I should have just gone to the police. But then I remember his face when he realized I'd beaten him at his own game. The fear. And I know I'd do it all again. I'm sitting in a coffee shop when I see her. A woman, late 20s. She's sitting across from a man, handsome, charming. He touches her hand. She blushes. Something about him, the way he looks at her, like she's a mark, not a person. I know that look. I walk over. I'm so sorry to interrupt, I say, looking at her, not him. But did you go to Georgia State? I think we had a class together. Professor Morrison's business ethics course? She looks confused. Oh, no. I went to Central. Sorry, my mistake. I smile. Then I pull out one of my business cards and set it on the table in front of her. But if you ever need anything, advice about business, finances, anything at all, please don't hesitate to call. The man picks up the card. Miller Analytics. Wow, you're Jane Miller. My foundation is always available to help, I finish. I look directly at the man now. You never know who you might need protection from. His smile doesn't falter, but I see it in his eyes. He knows. I walk away, but not before I see the woman looking at the card, and then at the man, with a new look in her eyes. Maybe she'll call, maybe she won't, but maybe, just maybe, I saved her. I step out into the sunshine, and for the first time in years, I feel powerful, not because I got revenge, but because I survived. I rebuilt. Sean tried to destroy me. Instead, he created someone stronger than he could ever be. And that's the best revenge of all. She survived, she rebuilt, and now she protects others. That's the end of this story, but it's not the end of ours. If you were inspired, if you felt anything, you know the drill. Subscribe. It's the last time I'll ask. This is your final chance to be part of a community that believes in strength, in justice, and in fighting back. If you choose not to, that's your call. But I'd love to see you in the comments explaining why you'd rather stay on the sidelines. For everyone else, I'll see you in the next story.